up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Shaved Show podcast. This is your host, Justin. This is a weekly updated journal where you get to watch in real time as I struggle to become a better man, husband, father, son of God, and follower of Christ, that being the most important one. This is a special episode. I've got with me an interview with Tom Ettinger. Met him on Instagram, had some correspondence, and thought what he was doing is very special for the veterans community with his company, SITREP22. So before we get into the conversation, I wanted to say thank you to everyone who voted on Instagram. I'm wearing our crowd-designed Save Show God Wins tee. It's fantastic. Just opened it up today and had to put it on. Very happy with it. It's comfort colors, so it's a bit heavier and it's a bit oversized, as you can see, but that's kind of my favorite. So if it's something that you're into, I'll put it on the store soon. But again, I want to thank you for all the support, and I thought it was kind of fun, making a community design as well. So we'll do that more of that in the future. Without further ado, I'd like to give you my interview with Tom from SITREP22. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Save Show. Got a special episode today with Tom here of the SITREP22 page, and just excited to have you here on the show, Tom.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to come on here and spread whatever word I'm able to give.
That's kind of been my mentality too, and I know we're both trying to get eyes and ears on content through Instagram, and you just started a podcast, so I think our hearts are in the same place. Executing the mission has been in the same format.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think social media has been good and bad. It's good for good things and bad for bad things. But that's where we're at in life. Um, Everyone's an entrepreneur. Everyone's a movie star now. Everyone is in the spotlight. So now us normal people have to throw our elbows in there and fight our way in there to get some kind of you know notice, some kind of streaming.
Right.
Look at me. I'm with everyone else. I'm just in the back with my hand up.
Right, right. Yeah, I'm
Hmm.
trying to go kind of the blog route and trying to get more eyes on the gospel and being a better man and husband, father. And then you've got your efforts with the veterans community that kind of caught my eye, and I wanted to have you on today.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I think everything you actually listed, that's a daily goal. I would say that's a daily goal to be a better person. I think that has led me, those things have led me, as well as everything else in life, to a purpose and a fascination about things in life on a daily basis that drive you on a consistency to push you. And if you have those things out in front of you, it becomes very easy to block out things that aren't as important.
Right, right. I don't know if you listen to Andy Frisella at all, but he talks about having critical tasks for the day, and that I'm
Hmm.
doing 75 hard right now to the best of my ability, trying to give it my all, and so having those critical tasks from the challenge each and every day has kind of been a guiding light, as it were. The distractions and everything else kind of fades away. I'm doing what I need to do each and every day.
Yeah, 75 hard. That changed a lot for me. I did that right when I was on terminal, retiring from the Marine Corps, and that led that kind of was like the olive branch to the civilian world for me. Like, I'm getting out, I'm working, but what can I do to not remain restless, and what could I be doing? And it also was during as soon as COVID hit, so I wasn't doing anything at work much really anyway, and we'll get
Sure.
into that. But like, just having that, I'm doing this now. I'm just gonna head on and start doing 75 hard, and that had me going for the next 18 months of just doing the program, failing it, doing it, and just building off of that.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear you say failing it. I'm not necessarily excited that you said it took you 18 months there, but
Oh, no, 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 no,
I
no.
failed as
I
well.
I did it three different times, but I just lived that life for
Mhm.
like 18 months, almost 2 years, where I was just either on the program or off the program. the first time when I did do it, I didn't time it correctly. And when my retirement came around, I retired November 10th, 2020, and that was day 63.
Hmm.
And that was the day I was just like, it's the Marine Corps birthday. I'm retiring. I had to have a beer. We relaxed. I hung
Sure.
out. And it was only the people that lived around me. So it was cool and it was special because at that point, I didn't see anybody really for like two months because I was off on my own now. I was going to do my thing, and that separation, that kind of that failure, that relationship with 75 Hard became very intimate of every day, and me going on Instagram and talking on my story, and
Mhm.
that just gave me something to do every day, my personal accountability, because for some you that was just me talking to myself, but other people started relating, and that carries. I think if one person suffers, another person, they are fascinated with it, and then they're like, I want to suffer too, so they follow along, and I think the hardest part was doing it, knowing I was going to fail, but then starting again.
Hmm.
And then when I started again, I did it till I moved. I did it till I did 75, then I did up to phase three.
Okay.
Phase three was the end point. I started phase three and I was like, I'm over this. This is too much.
I haven't even looked into anything beyond phase one. It's interesting to hear you say that you stopped on the Marine Corps birthday on retirement day because I've got a trip planned in a couple weeks. I'll be beyond my initial starting date, but I've since failed. So this is my second 75 iteration, and I'll have to have a drink just like you. I've got a Marine Corps buddy who's getting married, and I haven't seen those guys in like 4 years at this point. So
Hmm.
it's a good time to celebrate and maybe break protocol.
And I feel that's the best part. And I held myself to such a degree of, I'm doing this, I'm sticking to it. I'm a Marine, everything that the world floods you with, that, to me, it was just, just doing it, and being consistent and doing it. And then it just opens up other doors that I believe in your mind to where you never noticed it before. And if yourself the podcast and just listen to other podcasts, and that 45-minute walk, I believe in the morning, that's what I did first thing. That was my go-to. That opened up a lot. That opened up a lot of windows in my mind to be able to get out, be out, and just walk and just think. And I think that's the biggest thing we don't do enough, is just be outside and just do it. I'm not a, I'm I mean, I'm on my phone. I'm a phone guy. A lot of people will say I'm not
Same.
on my phone. No, I'm a phone guy. I get locked in. I get
Yep.
I'm a hostage real quick. But when you're able to go on that walk, when you set that discipline, that you're able to set that time, sometimes it was just silence. But it
Hmm.
was just that routine of doing it every day. It was sacred. It felt good. And then when you have to break it, it becomes uncomfortable again. It's that, you got to come to that. I failed. All right, I failed again. Just keep it moving, because
Right.
no one cares. And I think that was the biggest thing when I quit. No one cared. It's all in your own mind.
Right.
Like so when I was just like, you know what, I'm done. And I just started just kept it up, reading, I during that time I became a coach with First Form.
Oh, okay.
Um
Very cool.
uh on my way out of retiring, um I took my vacation, my leave. I had a lot of built up, so I was able to. I went to school. I went to ISSA to become a personal trainer, strength and
Mhm.
conditioning coach,
Yeah.
while I was transitioning out, and then everything just moved together. And then I was a first form coach with the app. Then I started getting clients, and then so that whole road, when I got out of the Marine Corps, led me somewhere else till it got to a dead end, or that unsatisfied. It wasn't like, now I'm dealing with other people's problems. I was a coach. Like, it wasn't about me no more. It wasn't for me no more.
Mhm.
And I wasn't passionate about it no more, because anytime you got to deal with someone else, you have to rely on them. And coming from the recruiting background, sending kids to recruit training, doing all that, I could not deal with people. You're trying to set them up with a program
Mhm.
and not doing what you want them to do.
Sure.
Doing normal people stuff, and that after a while it gets old. It gets old, and it gets old yourself.
Hmm.
You can only do it so long, and then it's like, move in. Every time we went somewhere or did anything, I was up walking first thing in the morning. And then once you see something else and you're like, that could be my passion, that's when I keep the same regiment in a sense, but you got to expand from there. I think you're going to have that bridge to
Hmm.
somewhere in life. You got to take that bridge to be able to get to where you're supposed to be.
Sure. Yeah, I can appreciate that. It sounds like you and I, different Marine Corps careers by far. I had a 5 year stint in the Marine Corps. Got out honorably. I had a great experience, made some great buddies. But getting out, I wouldn't necessarily say I found myself being lost, but it's just a transitionary period in life, and you're not quite sure what's next. And so the thing that seems like you found was 75 hard. I found myself training for a half marathon. So it sounds like the exact same thing. I'm out in the morning, I'm getting the runs in to train for it. And it's just that silence. It's the creative time. Maybe there's music, maybe there's an audio book going, but my mind's just racing as fast as possible as I'm running and thinking of new things to do, or what should I pursue? What's next in life? And I'm very grateful for that experience.
Absolutely. I believe that portion out there, training, doing something, um, it allows you to have that racing mind at the appropriate time. Like if I'm sitting there at work or I'm sitting there doing something and my mind's just racing, that's not the most optimal time. You know what I mean? To
Right.
try to sort things out.
Yep.
But when you're out walking, out running, I think having things like that, marathons, ultra marathons, that kind of training, I believe that's what that helps our minds and helps us put a lot of things in order
Hmm.
and drives us along the way.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I agree. And speaking of training, I think the reason that I found your page originally is because you won the 3 of 7 project giveaway for a class. Is that right?
I did. I won the 3-7 podcast. Hoist was giving away the trip to go to the training. Now, of course, I draw a blank now. It wasn't the basic course, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to go.
Oh, okay.
So, so I haven't been able to go. I've talked to Blake already. I sent him an email. Maybe I'll catch up and go on the next one or in the next couple of ones. But
Sure.
I had a death in the family, and it
Okay.
just I think everything happens for a reason, to be honest. I've been dealing with a lot of knee problems. Last ultra I ran in 3-7 ultra back in 2021
Hmm.
August, or excuse me, September.
Hmm.
Then I ran a half here in Arkansas, and then my knee just started falling apart. So I wasn't in the best shape to go. So it kind of like helped me.
Sure.
So I
And,
think
and
I think certain things come along, man.
oh yeah, it has to be. My wife and I say there's no coincidence. God's working somehow. And I'm not sure if that's what you would ascribe to as well, but maybe you're supposed to be in that next training class with those guys, that somehow, some way you're supposed to have an impact on the people that are around you at that time.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always something there, and everything led me to what I'm doing now. So I was in the Marine Corps for 20 years. I've been
Mhm.
married for 21 years. I have three children, and one in college, one about to go to college next year. My son's he's about to complete eighth grade this year, going to his freshman year next year. And I am 41 years old coming out of a 19-year-old's experience, if that makes sense.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Because I thought it was great that you said, you didn't have that loss, but you were young when you did your 5 years.
Yep. Right
You
out
did your
of high
first.
school, I went 2 weeks after I graduated. Did boot camp that summer, and the rest is history, I guess you could say.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think that is when I got out at 20, it's like, all right, it's a different, you get your release papers, they open the big fence, you're able to walk out like end of a prison movie. And
Sure.
I was done, and then it turns into the what, what was it like? Because last time I was as open and I don't want to say free, but the last time I was not in the Marine Corps, I was 18, 19 years old. Now it's like I've been doing something different. So it's that release, I think, and then you need that fear, that Marine Corps fear, or that fear of failing, or something in your life to give you that, or you just sit around and become nothing. You need something. I believe that a driving force to push you forward.
Right. Yeah. So it could be a 75 hard or a new career that you've chosen. Something that I found myself thrown into was the half marathon. I started my university experience, got through that right as COVID was happening in 2020. Had some jobs fall through just because of the pandemic and everything going on, but
Mhm.
found a gig. Worked my butt off, threw myself into that. We started a family. Got 2 children now, and I've gotten some promotion at the company that I'm with, and very grateful for the experience. And I can sit here today with you and look back and say everything was for a reason. I'm right where I need to be. But during the experience, it's kind of overwhelming at times.
Yeah, I would say there's always going to be that path that's in front of us, and it's not going to be easy. It's supposed to be hard. It tells us it's supposed to be hard, and I think being able to be resilient, and just, I think positivity is something, and joy that gets stolen on a daily basis, and then we lose hope on a daily basis, and that just bleeds into society, into parents, into children, and it becomes a dark, dark place if you don't have something to, that vibe, something to wake you up and get you excited.
Hmm.
That walk in the morning to get on Instagram and just run my mouth and talk about whatever I was doing on my story, 75 hard day, whatever, and just continue. That was exciting to me because I was only talking to myself, but it was energizing to me. And I
Hmm.
think once you fall into that, stars start aligning, or clouds move and you see more stars
Right.
they were already there. You just didn't see them.
Sure. Yeah. There's
So,
plenty of
so, so,
opportunities you didn't see. Yeah.
Mhm. So I think being able to do that, I think was that 75 hard beginning piece was huge. And I think people are just now slowly getting into the 75 hard, because I think it's even more blown up, but I think it came out 17, 18, 19 maybe. And I remember when the first time I saw it, I was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way. And then I was like obsessed with it. I mean, I even got a tattoo of it. Like
There you go.
I was so first form 75 hard. I'm gonna be a coach or everything. And it's not, when you find out it's not the plan, I believe, like, there's an exciting portion of it. There's a letdown, like this ain't working out. This isn't gonna be what I want it to be. But what's in store next?
Right. Right. So what was next? What are you doing now? And can you tell me about SITREP 22?
So after I finished the training, finished doing coaching for first form, and just started just doing me, and training, and trying to motivate people and being positive. My
Hmm.
my main focus became Red Friday. Red Friday, remember everyone deployed, that became a big thing for me. And then it just started putting me in a different place on Fridays, because it was just so emotional, if that makes sense. Like, for
Hmm.
some reason, it just started bothering me. Like, no one cared, and then I wasn't the Marine Corps guy that wore the Marine Corps shirts. I wasn't the hoorah guy. I wasn't the motivator. I wasn't that wasn't my thing. Everyone had the gray USMC shirt.
Yep.
But once I got out, I wasn't the red hat guy either. I just wanted to move away and just disappear. I did my time. And then it just wasn't in the cards. It just wasn't in the cards. So I got into a whole mind frame of, you know what, the veterans that are out there, there's too many leaving us on a daily basis, and I feel there's so many more complaints and mental health in this country is declining on one point, but the part that it's declining the most, we're not even focused on. So
Mhm.
so I said, you know what, I'm just gonna do what I can do, and I just got a passion. So you know what, I'm gonna start something that's gonna be for veterans. Uh, I started following 22 Mohawks. 22 Mohawks is an outstanding nonprofit out of Boston, Massachusetts that helps veterans not only financial classes, they get puppies for veterans,
Mhm.
service dogs trained, and they reach out for veterans. They just did a parachute trip for veterans. So I started following them, and they had a story one day. If you get a mohawk, you get a free T-shirt. I'm a
Okay.
huge T-shirt guy.
Yeah.
So I jumped on there. I said, send me a T-shirt, I'll do it. Well, Stacy, she's the president of the company. Dave is the CEO, chairman. He's her husband. He was a ranger for 15, 16 years, I believe, in the army.
Mhm.
So when he when I spoke with them, I got the T-shirt. I made a post, got the mohawk as best as I could, and then it just started from there. They were on a podcast called The Contagion Effect
Okay.
with Mike and Eric. We all hooked up, and it was just because my paths crossed with these people. The day I went to go on The Contagion Effect, Stacy hit me up, and I told her I had an idea. I wanted to create something. I can't say too much yet what it's going to be, what SITREP22 is going to be, the company, the
Sure.
product that it's going to have. However, it's going to be a technology for veterans to make them more proactive, more use of their mind, their body, and allow them to have um, relationships and communications with veterans that they served with, and so much more that's cramped into a package that we're getting created. But I said, you know what? I'm done. No one's going to do it. No one's going to want to do it. No one's going to think about it. No one's going to. So Stacy hit me up, and I told her, I said, I'm done. Then I went on the Contagion Effect podcast, discussed with them. Mike told me to stop talking. He said, you know what? We'll talk tomorrow. And that was November. And it's just been since then. Working with the guys from the Contagion Effect, 22 Mohawks, just me. SITREP22 is going to be the company, is going to be the product that we're going to be putting out. And then off of that, I just said, you know what? I need to be able to reach more people. I need to be able to put people in a light that I see them, that I always saw them. I'll tell what I did in the Marine Corps was I touched a lot of people before they joined, before they left, and when they came back, and I was there in the beginning of a lot of people's careers.
Mhm.
So that became extremely important to me because now that's 4, 5, 10 years ago. There's a lot of people that are suffering and there's no one listening. But there's also a new thing of military guys, Jocko, Chad Wright, Dave Goggins, that they have these, amazing endurance lifestyles that get promoted, but no one ever knows about the CH-53 mechanic that did 3 tours in Afghanistan or whatever. No one
Mhm.
knows about the normal people that were in the military that suffer from any kind of thing, after their time. That's who I want to talk to. That's who I want to bring to light. So it just started from there. So I started the podcast. Between then and now, I also was an ambassador for Mission 22.
Okay.
So Mission 22, that was a big thing. And when I got out, that was the big thing. Everyone wants to be an ambassador, and it was new to me. Half the companies you never even heard of. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But but getting involved and doing things, I thought it was something I wanted to do, but really I just wanted to do my own thing and promote my own thing. and be the voice of something that I created. It just took me too long. It took me a while to get there, to get the courage, to get the strength, to get to the people around me,
Hmm.
the community that's around me. And to be honest, it's still just it's a growing thing on a daily basis to get out there and spread as much word as you can. And I've just said that's what I'm going to do now. So what I'm doing now is I'm doing the podcast to spread the word. I have a store that's going to be opening soon, and all money received is going towards what we're building and creating. And when that comes out, that's going to change a lot of people's lives.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I just wanted to call out for anybody who's listening and not watching is that you're living out exactly what you're talking about, Tom. You've got your red shirt on as we record on Friday. So just, from the outset, I knew that what you're talking about actually is very important to you. You're living out exactly what you're saying, and I respect you for that. Not everybody does end up actually fulfilling the words that they speak. You're sitting here with me today having a conversation, and I can look at you and tell exactly how you feel and that you're actually living this life that you're talking about.
I think the biggest thing, and I appreciate that wholeheartedly. I think the biggest thing that we fight is what our purpose is in life, what we think it is, and what it actually is. And I was blessed. I got blessed to be on recruiting duty. Um, I chose, as well for people that don't know, when I was in the Marine Corps, you had three choices when I went on recruiting duty. You either got picked for drill instructor duty, you went to MSG, or luckily you got picked for recruiting duty. If you were lucky enough, let's say, one of the most feared jobs in the Marine Corps to get stuck on the street somewhere. And I got picked. I became a recruiter in Philadelphia, and I never did bad. I never struggled on recruiting duty. Life was extremely bad and hard, but I never personally struggled as far as producing people to join or whatever the case
Sure.
is. But that came with, I guess, a gift to be able to just talk to people. I was able to do it naturally and just talk to them how I am, exactly who I am, and it came very very easy. I did that. I ran the recruiting office in Philly, and then I went to San Diego. I went to MCRD, San Diego. By trade, I did administration for aircrafts.
Okay.
So I wasn't a big combat guy, but we tracked every component on every aircraft. If it would be a C-130 to any aircraft, anything in the Marine Corps, my MOS was there. Maintenance administration for the helicopters, for the planes, and once I left recruiting duty, it wasn't exciting anymore. The fleet itself was just boring. It was just boring. Like it was just because I was sprinting for 3 years on
Right.
recruiting duty. When you're sprinting, you go back to the fleet. I'm like, oh, this is funny.
Cake. Right.
So I had I had a bad idea, and I went back on recruiting duty 2 years later, and I stayed out there for 8 more years, almost 9 more years. So I did 12 years completely on recruiting duty, and I was able to work everywhere, I guess you could say, on the state level. As far as I worked at both MEPs, I was the ops chief, I was the assistant recruiter instructor, ran multiple stations, but I was able to do all that not because of me, because that was my purpose.
Mm.
Like I didn't join the Marine Corps to put kids in the Marine Corps. That wasn't the plan, but things just work out that way. So when I got out, I was like I said earlier, I just wanted to be done with everything, but that wasn't in the cards. God's ready when you have to do something, you don't get the rest. You don't get the time off.
Right.
I want all the rest. There's no room for me saying I'm done. There's no rest. There's no waiting around. There's no someone else will do it. So I just took it upon myself, said I'm going to do this now, and this is the new adventure until it's not. Best way I could
Sure.
put it.
Yeah.
We're doing this until I'm not.
Well, it's just like in Isaiah chapter 6, here am I, send me. You're answering the call that God's put in your life, and it's a very important issue. I think it's safe to say that there's lives at stake with what you're trying to do, and working with veterans of all walks of life, of all ages as well. I imagine there's still Korea veterans out there that are dealing with the things that they went through, or there's guys like me that just got out a few years ago, saw Afghanistan or Iraq, and it's just something that they haven't quite gotten past, and they'll need this community that you're starting to put together here.
Yeah, I feel that's something. And I was on a I did a show yesterday. I just put it out, but I did a show yesterday with my coach when I went through the recovery and resiliency program with Mission 22. If I'm going to be an ambassador, I wanted to go through the program, and
Hmm.
I should have finished my thought earlier, but that was the point. Let me go through it so I could help people. And I'm like, man, my stuff's together. I'm good. This is informative. This is, I'm going to find out. Let me talk to a guy, coach. They send me stuff and all this stuff. And I was like, this would be all right. And I'll tell you what, it was different. They had me reading books. They had me talking to this guy every week, and I could be very forthcoming. Like I have no problem. Like it is. I think during this transformation and transitioning, I would call it, since my retirement, I've lost a lot of the Marine Corps nonsense. I would believe, to where I don't care what people think. I don't care what people say. And I feel that ego that gets put in a lot of people that serve in the military, which is good. You need it. You need that confidence, that self-esteem, that self-direction, that motivation. But you have to be able to be open and honest to people without fear, without who cares?
Hmm.
Like no one else really cares. And I think the longer I've been doing this, the more I do it, the less the less I care, because it doesn't matter, because it's only going to help someone else.
Sure.
And once I start flipping it from a social media standpoint, from working out, coaching, motivation, to now I'm going to talk a lot about veteran suicide. It was a lot, because I'm like, anyone will say, I don't care about followers. I care about people following me to hear what I have to say, because maybe they could help someone else.
Hmm.
Me a year or 2 years ago, I want people to look at me. I'm over here, make me
Right.
important. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's the natural person. You want to be seen, you want attention. But then I start, slowly going through this process. I start seeing the things that make it bad. Like it's not about me. This is the purpose. And if I'm going to be the foreman of this purpose, so be it. So I'm just gonna put it out there and be as vulnerable as I believe I can be, and make it seem like, you know what, I can be more open, I can be more honest, I can have emotions, I can. I mean, I made a story the other day, don't let anyone steal your joy. I would have never said anything like that years ago. Like, don't anyone steal your joy. I would have slapped, I would have made fun of someone saying something like that. But that's what happens first thing in the mornings. A car pulls you, you're in traffic, or someone cuts you off, and that could set you off for the whole day. And if you don't have your own, you choose. I heard a pastor say this before. My wife let me listen to it. You choose if you want to have a good day or a bad day. You choose the emotions you allow, because it's everything that's going to be out in front of you. But you choose if you what you want it to affect you or not. If you
Hmm.
want things to, you know be good or bad. And I just tried to start focusing more. Going through the Mission 22 thing opened my eyes a lot more, and gave me more clarity to maybe why things are the way they are. And acceptance is the hardest part. And it was very easy for me, because of the point I guess I'm trying to make in life. Like it was very easy for me to humble myself down and lose an ego and say, you know what, this is for a purpose. But during that transformation purpose started all this.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So I had to go through all that, and the purpose of going through that changed while going through it. And I think a lot of
Right.
people miss out in life. Situations they go through changes the outcome of what you were going for. And if you don't see that, it's going to take you longer to get there because you just got shown how to get there, but you're still on your own thought process. And
Right.
when you think about things on your own, it becomes very dangerous.
Agreed. Yeah, there was a time a few years ago, just like you said, I didn't go through the Mission 22 project or their course at all. But a few years ago, I would wake up with I wouldn't call it night terrors, but I wake up screaming in the middle of the night, and
Hmm.
that bugged my wife, and I think it eventually stopped when I started being more vulnerable, speaking to her, and I don't mean to diminish, the night terrors, if we want to call them that, or my personal experience in the Marine Corps. I didn't have it as bad as some guys. So I don't want to stand on a soapbox, as it were. I had night terrors, but all that kind of fell away once the bravado dissolved, and once I was vulnerable. Told my wife about some things. Now I sleep through the night, except for a toddler wakes me up. Sleep like a baby. So
No, but that's the best part. That right there is why I'm doing what I'm doing because what we all, and not everyone's rookie recon. And I think if you go through the Marine Corps, that's the mindset it puts you in. Like, no matter what you did, if you didn't do this, no, any person that has any kind of trauma after they served, that trauma could have existed before they joined, but
mhm,
this, I believe, amplifies it. Like
sure.
if you didn't grow up in a great home growing up, and then you deal with some trauma that you've seen while deployed, that just creates a pot of depression, I believe, and it's hard. You just start mixing everything up in your life. It becomes very other people had it hard, other people do it worse. But
Mhm.
if you don't focus on yourself and see, like you said, being able to talk with your wife and me, being able to be emotional, because I go being able to unload those rocks that you carry with your pack that know what those invisible rocks that no one knows about. And when you're able to just release some of these jewels onto people that people, friends, family, loved ones, and just exhale some certain things, I believe it helps you. It helps you throughout the whole day, and it allows you to communicate more effectively. So it's not just a you thing; it's more of a us thing. This is
Mhm.
what I'm dealing with, but hey, you know what? This is what we're all dealing with. So
Right.
so it's hard. It's easy to try to heal in isolation. Everyone wants to be alone. They don't want to be a burden on people.
Mhm.
And then I just said, you know what? This is it. This is me. You're gonna get this regardless. And I can only get better from here. And these are my intentions, being able to say how I feel. And slowly but surely, after a while of, it's not the easiest thing, but once you start, letting the walls down a little bit, it becomes easier. It becomes
Mhm.
easier to communicate because then the people you're dealing with know what you're dealing with, what you're
Right.
going through. So certain things, like I don't like going to crowded places. I don't like being around a lot of people. So like not trying to go and do all that stuff is, could be conflict in certain situations with other people that maybe want to go places. If someone's dealing with something, why don't you ever want to go nowhere? You never want to spend time with us. Or if someone's dealing with that, well, no one's understanding why that person don't want to go nowhere, why
Mhm.
that person don't want to do anything. And a lot of people, they take it personal.
Right.
But if you don't voice what you're dealing with, it becomes extremely hard for everybody. And then veterans turn to their own vices without having conversations with other people as a healing factor. Vices trying to deal with it, on their own, and it becomes extremely difficult that way.
Right. And I feel like a lot of people, with SITREP 22, it sounds like you're trying to create sort of a community for veterans and people to go to. And a lot of people get out. They've had these buddies for a few years, or maybe 20 years in your case, and they get out and they don't have that anymore. That connection's totally severed, and you try to make friends with civilian cohorts or your peers or your coworkers, and it's just not exactly
Hmm.
the same. And so that fellowship and being around people becomes even more important and right in that transition period. And that's exactly what's missing, from my from what I think is what's missing from a veteran's experience as they get out.
Absolutely, I agree with that 100%. I had a phone call with a guy I worked with over 10 years ago, and I haven't spoke to him in 10 years, and he was hitting me up on Facebook. He was trying to reach out and talk to me, and he didn't have no issues. I don't want to put it out there like I was ignoring him. He was like, "Hey, what's going on?" Blah, blah, blah,
Hmm.
trying to hang out. And then I finally broke down and called him. And I talked to this dude for like 2 hours on the phone. Like we didn't skip a beat,
Hmm.
but it was all me. It was all me. And I think a lot, and there was no reason, but it was just something in me. Like I have no reason to talk to him. But I think we build these walls, like I said earlier, around ourselves that we forget that those people we served with, man, that's the people that get it. That's the
Hmm.
people that understand. And when we leave that, that's the people that get it. And I think that's the only people in our life for veterans that will understand it 100%, regardless if you talk to about your trauma or issues. That's just someone you have communications with, you have love with, that you bring joy to each other, through that conversation. And I feel that's the biggest thing that we're missing is that like you said, fellowship with someone else, that to bring joy. That conversation brings joy to two different people.
Hmm.
That's a powerful conversation, and I feel that that doesn't happen enough because there's too many people still committing suicide every day. So I mean, when you look at it, you have 22 to 44 that commit suicide every day. Someone's not talking to somebody, and there's a lot of unanswered questions that we don't know until it's too late. And I feel just trying to get ahead of that. There's a thousand veteran things going on. There's a bunch of veteran things going on. The difference between what I'm trying to do and what they're doing is this. And I don't knock any of them, but you got to turn words into actions. Me doing push-ups every day a couple of years ago for veterans, that might have helped, but if not enough people are seeing it, if it's not out there enough, you're not doing it. You're raising awareness to people that already know it. If
Hmm.
that makes sense. So
Yeah.
words into action is as big as I can get it, as loud as I can get it, and me doing physical things. Yeah, that could that you know that's a point in time where someone's doing something and everyone's involved, but then that fades away. That event's over. I'm trying to do this on a daily basis.
Right.
People are, they're trying to raise money for veteran awareness, veteran suicide prevention, and what are we doing with the money? They're not saving nobody's life. So I'm trying to do something different. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That's not happening. And it, I'll tell you what, the reason I want to quit earlier before I got that boost of confidence saying, you know what, this is the plan, this is what you're going to do. It's the fact that I'm not tech, technological technology savvy. I'm not good with computers. I could record things and post things. I'm
Hmm.
good. I'm a scratch and sniff kind of guy. You know what I mean? I do very simple,
Yep.
but when you have a passion, if you don't put everything into it, it's not really a passion.
Hmm.
So I feel if this is what I'm called to do and this is the plan, if it wasn't supposed to happen, it wouldn't be going as good as it's going for me as well as it is,
Sure. Sure. Yeah. And
per se.
in the in the book of James, I'm spacing on the chapter of the verse, but it says, if you know, and I'm going to paraphrase, I'm not eloquent, as it were, but if you know exactly what you should be doing and you're not doing it, then that's a sin. And so been
Hmm.
called to this purpose, and it sounds like you're going to execute every day as much as you can, and actively engage with people instead of, making a donation to a foundation and just, doing your part, as it were. You're trying to engage with
Hmm.
people and actually get in front of some of the issues.
Yeah, I think it's extremely difficult to just corner a market and say I'm only dealing with veterans. Um, I think mental health as a overall is insane right now, and it depends on what people want to classify what's mental health. Is it transgender people mental health? Is it people with social media anxiety, social health? Like, what is mental health? What is the breakdown? What are we considering? And what's the reality? Like, if you have someone that's 22, 23 years old right now in college, they might think they're a pillow. They might identify as a pillow right now, right? Like, that's their biggest thing in life. Then you also have someone else, maybe in a foreign land, someone sending rounds down range.
Hmm.
Same age, different lifestyle choices, but when they come home and it's here, it's all the same.
Hmm.
So who deals with the mental health crisis? You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
think at a range, mental health has gone on a tirade from the youth to older folks. There's no one's safe. Anyone could, supposedly anyone could 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 have mental health issues, but do we look at just the severity of it, the situation, the choice? I think it's hard to identify what it is. So I stick to what I know. And I know veterans only like other veterans. Veterans are service specific forever. And once it's all said and done, it's all love to begin with. Because
Right.
being on recruiting, I'll tell you what, man, you hate other branches more than life. Because you're playing the game of life. You're talking to young youth, trying about what they're gonna, trying to see what they're gonna do in their future. And other branches, man, they are savages. They will lie, and they'll tell these kids the Marine Corps is the worst thing you could ever do. And maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong.
That's what I
Everyone
was
has
gonna
their
say.
choices.
Yep.
Everyone has their choices. Everyone has their experience. I just know once it's all said and it's over with, what happens then? I got boxes of uniforms. I got, you know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
a recruiter, they give you dress blue blouses. I got blues for days. What do I do with them? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
that's just materialistic stuff.
Hmm.
What about all the baggage you bring with you?
Right.
All the stuff. So I think making it okay to just say whatever if you're a veteran and be able to vent and get it out and your experiences. I think sharing that is what is most educational for people now. So if I could have someone on the podcast that dealt with any kind of trauma and they're victorious, they're battling through it every day, someone else could gain something from that.
Hmm.
And I think that's the most important thing for me, someone learning from it. It's easy. I could sit here and on my podcast, on your podcast, and we can always talk about ourselves, but it's being able to reach other people with a community of someone else dealing with something that could drive someone else to be passionate about something else in their life that they're holding on the side right now. They're like, this is a hobby right now,
Hmm.
but this could be something 10 times more because it's not meant to be a hobby. This is your purpose, but it has
Right.
to start off somewhere.
Right.
And I think, yeah, starting it off is the hardest part.
Yeah. You just got to start it. I I've talked about it on my show before, but I had the calling, if you want to call it that, to start a podcast for years, I would say. Ever since I got out of the Marine Corps, I started ingesting the Joe Rogan experience and, dabbled in this show and that show and found the 307 Project. And I'm just grateful that I actually started when I did last year because I was at a point in my life where I actually had um, I was standing on my own 2 feet, if I could say it that way. I was doing okay,
Absolutely.
and I wasn't focused on, I got into the politics game a few years ago and focusing on that stuff and kind of changed my life perspective since then. So I started at the right time, but just like you said, starting whatever it is the crucial moment. You can be bad at it, you can stumble, you can fail every day, but if you stick with it, eventually, your consistency will pay off. And who knows what God could do? Who knows what will happen because of your efforts?
Absolutely, and I think, having the strength to start it, if you're meant to do it, it becomes easier for you, I believe. In a sense to where you fell into it, you're doing it now, you're doing it a year later.
Hmm.
So if it wasn't, you would have stopped last summer. You know what I mean? So
Right.
that's how I see it. If things are meant to happen, they're meant to happen. If they're not, they'll fizz it out. Something will happen to make it not happen in your life.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? If you're
Yeah.
not supposed to do it, something will happen, and it's for good cause, and you can't argue with it because you could just be happy with what you have. And I think that that was another breakdown. Being as humble as I was, I guess, making myself. We live in a society that, and a lot. I'll say we, us, society, but it's all me, how I view it. You know what I mean? And I think as a society, we complain about the stuff we don't have. It's so easy, and then when you do have something together, it makes it a big difference. When you look and be like, "Man, I have this. I'm alive today. I get to breathe." The basic stuff, I could walk, I could touch things, I could smell things. When you break it down to that level, it just makes what you have even more when you look at the smallest things that, the littlest things you have. It's like, I'm able to do this because other people can't do it. So when you're able to do it and you're happy with the littlest things, it makes life just a little bit more enjoyable.
Hmm. Yeah, and kind of to circle things back, I guess, kind of round out the conversation. We're talking about doing 75 hard and doing the critical tasks, and as long as those are accomplished, you feel like you're set for the day. So as people go about and hopefully can get something out of this conversation is, go do those things that you feel you're called to do. Find some time, you get outside, get some sunlight, get some fresh air. Try to let your mind race as fast as you are, to use your words earlier, Tom. I thought that was great. But get out there and try to do something with yourself.
That's
Jordan Peterson says to, treat yourself like you're somebody you're responsible for. So you being a recruiter, I'm sure you'd agree with that. Like, take care of yourself as if you're your brother or your dad, looking after you. Try to better yourself each and every day and be consistent with it, because you never know, you might be sitting down with a podcast talking to Tom here today, and I'll definitely be better from the conversation.
absolutely. I think being able to see a vision and clearly see what you're trying to do, and you can see it forward. I think being able to go from 75 hard, those checks in the boxes, they change. It's life changing if you take it serious. I think too many people that have done 75 hard, they make it their own program, or I'm going to do an inside version. I've heard someone say, I'm going to do an inside version.
Yeah,
It's like that don't count.
but the
And
window's
I
open.
say, yeah, like, all right, man, do your thing. I've come across so many people on social media that from doing like 75 hard, ultra running, doing things, and the best thing is you just cheer people on and let them do their thing, because if you think you have something to say to someone else or about someone else, you probably got 10 other things to say bad about yourself. So it's easier, like, did I drink a gallon of water today? At least this dude's trying, you know what I mean? So
Right.
you're not doing it right. Well, that's the Marine in me saying, hey, you have to go outside for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Like,
Right. Everybody's trying to do their best, and everybody's best looks different.
absolutely. You know what? That's perfect the way you said it. Everyone's best looks different.
Mhm.
And I think that's beautiful, because everyone's past is different, everyone's
Mhm.
future is bright, but how they do it is exactly how they do it, and it's
Mhm.
okay on how they do it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a great spot to wrap up, Tom. I want to have you back on, once the project gets going and everything's put together. I think it'd be great to get your insight and check in on the project. But as we leave it here today, is there a final message from you or SITREP22?
Oh, absolutely. make sure you always contact, you care, and you listen to people. No one's ever going to reach out for help. It's always to be inquisitive, reach out, care, love someone, and don't let anyone be alone for too long because they become, captured by their own thoughts. So always be kind to people, always reach out to others, and take care of yourself because you're the only person that counts. Because it doesn't matter what other people think if you're not worrying about yourself first.
All right. I love it. Thanks, Tom. I'll link everything for Instagram and social media and everything in the show notes. So check that out and go follow Tom. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
And with that, our time together has come to a close. Once again, another Save Show episode in the books. Very grateful to Tom for coming on. I think we had a great conversation. He and I talked about it afterwards, and we both kind of jump around in conversation, but at the heart of the conversation is care for our veterans community, anyone who's struggling, making sure that you're reaching out and taking care of those around you. Coming from a Marine Corps background, that accountability buddy, having that person, group of friends was very crucial, and many don't find that same level of friendship after their years of service. So if you are a veteran, reach out. If you know a veteran, reach out. If you know anyone who might be struggling in life, reach out, because you never know what people are going through. But with that, thank you again to everyone who helped design the shirt. We'll get it out there soon. God loves you. I love you. Everyone's been blessed by him in our own unique way. And you are saved through Christ.